In our last Twilight Masquerade video, it seems like the heavier packs in Twilight Masquerade were definitely the heavy hitters. And not only did we open a booster box, we also opened blister packs, and both seem to confirm that theory. But what about ETBs? So I got not just one ETB, but 4 of them, because as one viewer pointed out, these ETBs are in reprint, so they weren't that expensive. So I figured, why not test this out? Now I'm gonna weigh each of these boxes, because why not? Normally I don't weigh boxes, but I know at least one other viewer mentioned that'd be great to weigh the boxes if I get the ETBs in particular. So I thought, okay, why not? Just for you. Now this one says 719 and 720 grams, kind of. And you know, that's not confusing. How about this one? Okay, 718 to 719, sure. How about this one? Well, at least the solid number. 720 grams. Finally, this one. Also a solid number, it looks like. Yeah, it didn't flash, did it? Making me paranoid. Okay, I'm just gonna say 720 grams because it's pretty solidly on there. Okay, now I'm gonna be right back because I need to weigh all the packs inside these boxes. So, BRB. Okay, so I had no sooner opened one ETB and pulled out the packs then I had realized we ran into a problem. And the problem is the packs in these ETBs actually have different wrappers than the booster box and the blister packs that we opened the last time. The last time we had wrappers that were thick and they have more of a matte surface, if you know what I mean. Slightly less shininess. This is one of the wrappers from the booster box. Definitely thicker. It's one of those things where you really just have to feel it, but once you feel it, you know it's different. But the ETB wrappers, they are much more shiny and they're thinner. They even sound slightly different. They have a light crisp to them versus the other wrappers. There's a slightly deeper sound because this is a thicker crisp. So yeah, that might present a problem. That definitely changes our experiment by quite a lot because this means the ETBs that I got, the packs were made by a different manufacturer than the last opening. And that means, you know, the heavy packs may not necessarily have the hits. The dynamic changes. That means the hit to weight relationship is probably going to be different. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. Now another interesting point is the weight of the packs in relationship to the weight of the box. So in the 718 to 719 gram ETB, it actually had the lightest packs. All of them were 0.4s. But in the 719 to 720 gram, a majority of them were the 0.5s, with only one that was a 0.4. Granted, the 0.5s are pretty much in the lower 0.5s. Now in one of the 720 gram boxes, a majority of them were 0.4s. It's literally the inverse of this box here, where only one pack was a 0.4. Well, the 720 gram one here, only one of them was a 0.5, which should show already that even though you may have a heavy box, doesn't mean that it's going to have the heaviest kinds of packs. And then the final 720 gram box, it had, I guess, a good mix of 0.4s and 0.5s. Some 0.4s, some 0.5s, and then we had a 0.6 at the end. So these boxes are really interesting. There's one that's all 0.4s, and then another one is mostly 0.5s. Another one is mostly 0.4s, and then the final one was a mix of both. So yeah, it's like ETB boxes with different personalities. But okay, let's get to actually opening these packs. I'm going to start with the lightest ETB box, which was the 718 to 719 grams. And we'll do lightest to heaviest, 22.40. This is not the same kind of wrappers as the last time, so that's kind of unfortunate. Okay, nothing there, 22.40. But we might end up finding, you know, a different weight range that could have hits. Okay, we have a Dragapult in comparison to this entire new range of weights that we have here. We got a base in one of the lightest packs. Now on to 22.41. Well, we got a Leyron in a 22.41, so Yep, like I was saying, with these different wrappers and with these different weight ranges, that means the dynamics between heavy packs and hits, it's gonna be different. Could be that the light packs have the hits. Now on to 22.42. Nothing. 22.42. Oh, we have an ace spec, and that's it. Survival brace. 22.43. Nothing. 22.43 again. Nothing there. 22.46. Nothing there. And then the final pack, 22.48. Well, we got a base Palafin EX. Okay, so that was the first one. Let's go to the second lightest, which is the 719 to 720 gram box. Okay, the lightest was 0.47. So remember, this is the box that had mostly 0.5s. 22.47. And I'm not sure what makes these heavier. It kind of felt like there was more glue on that wrapper, but I don't know. 22.51. Yeah, definitely heavier glue or amount of glue on these wrappers. Okay, nothing, yeah, nothing there. 22.51. Oh, well, this one didn't have as much glue. At least it didn't feel like it. Nothing there. 22.51. Anything, still nothing. 22.51. And still nothing. This might have nothing. 0.52. Oh, we have something finally. Tatsugiri, which I believe was one of the most popular IRs in Twilight Masquerade. Probably because he looks like this. But what in the world is that? Are those all Tatsugiris? I don't know. Okay, but that is still pretty cute. Now 22.53. I don't know if there's a magic number in these ETBs, but we'll find out. Well, we have a base, 22.53. 22.53. Nothing. 22.55. And nothing. Wow. This was a sad box. Like nothing here. Granted, maybe the Tatsugiri kind of makes up for it, but I guess that's dependent on the individual. Okay, now on to the next one, 720 grams. I think it was it was the inverse of the last box where we had a lot of 0.5s there. Now we have a lot of 0.4s here and then 1.5. 22.41. Nothing. 22.42. Oh, Sunflora. Hey, that's nice. Never got this card before. That is nice. They look so happy. There's even a watermelon in there. Not that a watermelon really means anything, but... Oh, no, I know. I think the watermelon indicates summer, right? Yeah, in the summertime, we see bunches of watermelons at the grocery store. Clever. 22.45. Nothing. 22.46. Nothing. 22.47. Nothing there. 22.48. Nothing. 22.48 again. Oh, we have a spec Legacy Energy. 22.49. Ooh, our first full art, that is Luxray. Nice. Yeah, we have barely seen any full arts. And then finally, 22.54. There's a base there. Sinistra. I just realized the 22.54 had the Sinistra here. We got Sinistra. It was a foretelling. Okay, so this was 4 hits, similar to the very first ETB box that we got. The second one was just sad. Now, finally, on to our last box, the 720 gram one. And it's the 720 gram one that had a 0.6. Now, we're in 22.46 grams. Oh. Oops. Butterfingers. Okay, nothing. 22.48. Nothing. 22.49. We have a Macargo base. 22.51. Well, that didn't go as planned. No. Nothing. 22.54. Now we have an ace. Oh, legacy energy again? Really? 22.55. Nothing. 22 point. Focus. 22.55. Ooh, Probo Pass. Nice. I don't know if I mentioned how I'd like IRs or cards that feature more than just the primary Pokemon that's in focus. This one's really cool. I was gonna say cute, but Probo Pass isn't exactly. I don't know if it passes as cute. It's cool because we got a Lotad, and then we got, what are these guys again? I totally forgot. And then we have a Bolton who is running with his, I guess, his trainer, who also kind of looks like a Bolton, color-wise, that is. And then we have a Bidoof right here walking away. Oh, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a Larvitar there. I think he's sitting with his trainer in the shade, like an old man with a cane. That's cool. I'm liking all these details. Alright, now to 0.56. Nothing. And finally to 0.60. Oh, we have a base there. Iron Thorns. Base. So looking at my now filled out page, it definitely looks like hits are randomized. Granted, it also kind of looks like, at least for the lightest box and then one of the 720 gram box, there's like this gap in between one hit and other hits. So like literally in the first box, you get a grouping of hits close together, and then there's like this gap, and then you get another hit. Whereas the 720 gram box it was like the inverse, where you got one hit at the start, and then there's a gap, and then you get another grouping of hits. And then in the 720 gram box, where it had a good balance, I guess, of 0.4s and 0.5s, it was all scattered. And then the other box, the 719, 720 gram box, this was the disappointing box. So, okay, that was a bummer in the sense that we couldn't test that heavy pack theory because, again, we didn't have the same kind of wrappers, and that means a different manufacturer. But this also might show that theory maybe doesn't apply to ETBs in general. It's just that all my ETBs were all those light wrappers, so I didn't have any heavy wrappers among them. Maybe there are ETBs with the thicker wrappers. I probably shouldn't say heavier wrappers, but the thicker wrappers, and then maybe that theory will pan out. But I kind of think, whoever manufactures the ETBs is going to be different than the ones who manufacture booster boxes and blister packs. That's just my theory. But what we do understand from ETBs, at least from what I open here, is that maybe, possibly, granted, it's just 4 ETBs that I opened, but I think in general they try to guarantee some sort of really good hit. For all 4 ETBs, we got at least 1 IR. And for 3 of the ETBs, we got 4 hits. And it seems like in general, the hits would be 1 IR, 2 bases, or a base and a full art, and probably other ETBs might have like a mix. Maybe it's a full art, maybe, for some boxes. And then the 4th one would be an A-spec, maybe? Because 3 boxes, we actually got A-specs for all 3. And then for 2 boxes, these 2 here, we had, 2 bases. And this one also, there's 2 bases right here. But yeah, I don't know what's up with this box where we only got 2. At least the IR was Tatsugiri, right? Tatsugiri makes up for it. Even though we couldn't test that heavy pack theory for ETBs, we did at least get an understanding of what you're pretty much guaranteed for each ETB. And again, it is 1 IR at least, and most likely, so long as you don't get an ETB like what I got right here, 3 other hits. So 1 IR and then 3 other hits, and those 3 other hits could be a full art, base, A-spec, and I'm sure an SIR would be somewhere mixed in there. I don't know if that would be an extra, like an extra 5th pack, or it would count as one of those other 3 hits. And since I can, I'll show you guys the results from the last Twilight Masquerade opening, and you can see what I'm talking about, what I'm saying. The heavier packs, after a certain weight, just got a consistent amount of hits. So this is a mix of the booster box and the blisters, and combined this is what we got. From 22.29 and onwards, there's a lot of teal, with the exception of that one orange blip. And again, teal means hit. And it's not like we don't get hits in the weights that are lighter than 22.29 grams. It's just not as consistent. But yeah, once we get this consistency, that's our eureka moment. We have actually found something, some sort of pattern. But if I were to add the results from today's ETB opening, it will totally mess up that chart, because ETBs are a whole different beast. At least the ETBs that I had gotten. So yeah, if you get a Twilight Masquerade ETB and the wrapper is the thicker kind of wrapper, then, you know, maybe it's going to match the results of the chart. But that's not what we got here, so I can't say for sure. Maybe I should go for more blister packs or something. Find something like that. But yeah, anyways, thank you all for watching. That is all I have for today, and see you in the next PackStat.